It's showtime. That's what it says at the top of my screen, which means one thing and one thing only. It's 11 o'clock on Friday. Put your kettle on for 5 minutes and come and join us because you want to know about digital accounting. This is the show which everybody's been waiting for, because everybody out there that's been scribbling their accounts on the back of a fag packet for the last 10 years, this is your opportunity. Okay, so we don't want any more of your nonsense. Okay, we want you to come and join us this morning. This is my co-presenter, Laura. Say hello, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Now, to make this real, we've got to bring in somebody from Xero as well, do we not?
Of course.
What
is it without somebody from Xero?
Okay, so what we're going to do is now you can see all of the lovely banner around us with a picture of me and you at the bottom, Laura. We're going to make that all disappear as if by magic so that we can bring in Ben from Xero. Hello, Ben. Thanks for joining us this morning.
You're right. Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, no, it's a pleasure, sir. It's a pleasure. And we've already got comments coming in. Sabrina, hello.
Hi,
Bev, there we go. So look, we are here to answer your questions in terms of going digital with regards to accountancy, with regards to doing your self-assessment, your tax, all of those sort of things. And I can't believe it actually in this day and age that people are still not doing it in a digital way. People keep coming in. Joel, Pauline, hi to all of you. These are all Laura's friends. This is what this is. So look, first question. You pay people to come. The first question really that everybody's been asking. We did run a post on this and a little poll about this a few weeks ago, and we got some lovely responses. And one of the things that lots of people were saying is that the whole thing with accounts, it absolutely terrifies me. So what they do is they use an accountant. But what I want to know is, what could they be doing themselves? I mean, because I'm not saying don't use an accountant, but if accountants do all of the work for you, that's going to cost you a fortune. You know, I discovered that very early on. You know, if accountants reconcile your books and balance everything, it's like that's going to cost a fortune because it's time-consuming work. So what could accountants, what could you be doing to really help yourself and accountants? Who's going to take that first? Laura.
Okay, yeah. So I think there's this preconception that, if you have these softwares in place, digital accountancy software, there's the question of what is the point in paying an accountant is one question. And then the second one is obviously about why do I need it? Why should I be doing that? Why can't I just use my accountant? So there is two parts of it. And what we always say is that digital software is not there to replace accountants and bookkeepers at all. You still need their knowledge, their expertise, their checks. They've worked very hard to get qualified and, they have come across every situation and every scenario. You need their advice. You need them to talk you through the figures. However, accountancy in the past, it used to just be very, like past tense. So you would go to your accountant after your year end. Accounts have to be filed within 9 months after your year end. So I know when I was in industry, you would get people rushing in 8 months after their year end with this box of paperwork. Do something with that. Give me all the figures, blah, blah, blah. Magic. It happens. But that's just, it's after the event. So you've done no tax planning in there before your year end. You've not utilized any tax savings that you could get, any tax breaks. And it's doing everything historically. You're running your business every day. We're all getting up every day, working our butts off. And if you're running it blindly, what is the point? What is the point in just running something that you have no idea if it's actually benefiting you? If your costs are on point, if you're making a profit. So for me, the whole thing about digital accountancy is just revolutionized how a business can be run. Clients now can have full access to their financials. They can look at what accountants and bookkeepers are looking at. We can all look at that in real-time information. And they can see if they've had a good month or if they've had a really bad month. They can watch their income, they can watch their expenditure, and they can make really good business decisions in real live time.
Yeah, that makes sense. Ben, do we know how many people out there are still not digital in terms of their accounts?
I can't say I have an exact number, but I can say there's a lot out there because, say, we see it quite regularly in the role I'm at Xero. We talk a lot with the accountants side of things, and they've all still got clients that are wanting to move over to Xero and are doing things in the sort of like legacy ways. Ultimately, sort of like to address that side of things in terms of people being scared of doing their accounts and what have you. Products like Xero are built for the small business owner. They use normal non-accounting terminology to make it easier to get to grips with, and that's where it is a little bit more inviting for the non-accountants. I remember Xero was the first product I used to start in my career in accountancy, and I knew nothing at that stage. I hadn't been to college, I hadn't done anything, and sort of learned on the job with it. And that's where it can be inviting for the non-accountant to be able to come and get involved and do their own accounting, even if that is just something as basic as the data capture side of things. So trying to streamline that side of things, using a product like, obviously working with your accountant on this, I suppose, but using a product like an auto entry, a HubDoc, or a Dext to be able to capture your receipts. That one ensures that you've got all your receipts and you're maximizing what you're offsetting against your tax. Removes the need for boxes and piles and piles of receipts. I'm sure we've all had our desks drowning in receipts at some stage. And just getting involved in that side of things is a start and takes the workload, I suppose, off your accountant at year end. And also means you've got a little bit more ownership over it through the year, and you can see those figures going through, not just chucking the receipt into a pile and forgetting about it until, as Laura said, 8 months until after the year end. So there's definitely scope there, and I sort of, to echo what Laura said, that real-time visibility to enable quicker decision making through the year to be more reactive. We all saw through COVID that how important knowing where your financials were at a business was. So now if there isn't a better time than now to basically switch over to that way of working, I don't think there ever will be.
I don't know whether some of it's generational. I mean, I could never convince my dad for ages to get off of double entry bookkeeping in a big book. And to be fair, when I first started doing accounts on a computer, the options were things like Pegasus, or I was trying to use Sage Line 50. Nothing wrong with Sage Line 50 at all, but it looked like DOS. It was quite complex. There was a lot of elements to it, etc. But especially for the self-employed person out there just starting out, etc., half the things that you get in a more complex level of accounting software you don't actually need. And as you say, the interface now has changed drastically. So it really is very layman's terms. It's like put this figure in there. Press this button. You'll get this out here. It's not the complex thing that it used to be. And I think it was shrouded for a long while in almost complexity to make it look like something that only accountants could use. Do you agree with that?
I think so. Yeah, I think just the way things have evolved over time, people do want to have more involvement over their accounts. So the way that accounting software is being built and being produced has had to change with that. And I think it's definitely in a better position now to enable people to do that than it ever has been before.
So there's loads of things that
I think there has been. Yeah, I think one of the issues that we can have as bookkeepers and accountants against the softwares is in the marketing and the advertising. It can be a bit, oh, you can do this yourself. You can, as a business owner, use this accountancy platform, and jobs are good and it'll all just get done for you. I mean, I reiterate, I see accountancy platforms as Xero as a hub. It's our hub between us, between the business owner and between the bookkeeper and accountant. It's a place where we get all the information in real time. It's all there and we work together. It's not, to replace one or the other. It's to work together.
Now let's take the transition into account, because the other thing that a lot of people said was that they're using Excel or they're using a spreadsheet still to do all of it. What's the limitations? Just give people an idea what they limited by if they're just using a spreadsheet compared with if they use a platform that's actually built to do the job.
I mean, Excel, it's got a place. It's always had a place, and I believe it always will have a place. As we know on Xero, a lot of the reports that you pull off into an Excel spreadsheet. So we're still reverting back, to using Excel for ease. And I think a lot of these platforms are built with Excel spreadsheets in the background, just doing the work, for us with automation. But obviously an Excel spreadsheet, it's still, a human has to manually type figures in. We are humans, we get things wrong. So it's eliminating the risk of errors there. It's also time saving. If you think about it, when you're setting up a business, you are all systems go, you've got all these plans, you've got to do the work day in and day out that you're paid to do. You have to be the marketer, you have to be the advertiser, you have to be admin, you have to be everything, you have to wear every hat. If you can use a system that is really relatively cheap for what it does for you each month, and know that it's just all on there, it's all taken care of, by working with a bookkeeper or accountant. It's all compliant. I hate to say it, but it's compliant with HMRC. We're here to serve HMRC in accountancy. And they require that everything is digitalized. If you think about investigations, when someone from HMRC comes in, it's not a nice thing to go through. It's anxious for anybody, for the most perfect compliant business owner in the world. If HMRC come in and they have to start looking into, find me this paperwork, find me that invoice, find me that receipt, and you are struggling to find things, they're going to stick around longer. They're going to look further. So to have everything available at the touch of a button in one place, you've got all your pictures of all your receipts, you've got all your invoices on there, to click of a button. What do you want? There you go. Goodbye. Have a nice day.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's exactly what we would want, if HMRC came knocking at the door. Ben, did you want to pick up on that at all? I mean, in terms of maybe give some examples of some of the things that you would get within Xero, for example, that you wouldn't get out of a spreadsheet.
Of course, yeah. Before we go on to that, I wanted to sort of echo what Laura said around the human error side of things, because that's a massive one, and we've been doing a big thing internally at the moment. Sort of this figure has been banding about. I'll give it to you guys, Graham and Laura. Have a guess what percentage of spreadsheets contain errors. And this is an actual fact. It's been published by Forbes.
All right, I'm going to go quite high. I'm going to go 91%.
Nearly.
Yeah.
95.
You've both gone slightly over. Forbes has published 88%.
Right.
There's been quite a few of other publications saying 90%, but either way, it's a high number. Yeah. So with that level of potential mistakes within those spreadsheets, that is then being used, whether that is the accountant preparing it, because the accountants, we say we can make mistakes, whether that's the accountant preparing it, or that is whether that could be the business owner maintaining their invoices on a spreadsheet. Either way, all these spreadsheets are going to feed into the accounts. Then you have mistakes in the accounts. That's when things happen, and that's going to can affect things down the line. So using a piece of software does enable you to mitigate those mistakes, and mitigate probably is the right word rather than remove, because there is still human elements to these. It still does require a level of human entry. But it comes back, I suppose, the big thing of software against Excel. I would say it still comes back to that real-time working and real-time reporting to inform yourselves ultimately. it keeps you basically it keeps you and your accountants, I suppose, one step ahead instead of one step behind. And I think that's a massive thing that we've seen lately. The other big thing that you get is the exposure to link with other systems. So Xero has over 1,000 apps now in the App Store that range from all different sort of industries, also all different kinds of functionalities. So having that exposure to be able to link into your accounts and benefit from things as simple as being able to track inventory through an inventory app and feed all that through. You probably could do that through a standalone Excel spreadsheet in terms of tracking your inventory, but it'd be a lot more work, a lot more time, again, a lot more risk of error. So that's a massive thing. And then ultimately, I think the big thing at the end of the line, as Laura mentioned, is the fact that it satisfies HMRC. So it keeps all your records in one place in case of an investigation, and ultimately, it's there and it is compliant. That's the big thing.
Safely protected in the cloud, isn't it? You know, it's all
exactly
safely protected. If we're using spreadsheets, we're sending them on to different people. So it's going through a business owner. It could be going into a junior in the accountancy practice, then getting signed off by a manager, then the partner. There's full accountability on Xero. Like, you can see who has done what. You can see who has marked what. There's a full audit trail from start to finish.
And when you throw in stuff like the multi-factor authentication to actually be able to sign in the first place, there's that added level of security for your financial information.
In fact, do we get into areas of things like GDPR when we get into doing things like payroll, for example? I mean, and then what if you send that spreadsheet to someone outside the organization?
Imagine it does happen like regularly.
But it could happen, right? If you're, know, if you're emailing stuff, then that's
it just removes that whole need of, again, in the past, payroll departments having to run something onto a spreadsheet, somehow encrypt that spreadsheet, send it out to client with the pin separately. All that, I think, just running, even if it's a system like Xero Payroll, there are obviously other payroll softwares out there as well, but running it from the no, there's not. There are other products available, so but running it from one of those systems just to enables you to collaborate with the business owner at the same time and say it both ways. So there's massive advantages there.
As Ben said there about Xero Payroll, just a note on that. With all of our clients we have them on Xero Payroll. Yes, it takes a little bit longer for us to do that because we have to go into each client and run a payroll, but all the work is done for that on that month, and it's all accounted for in the figures of the profit and loss accounts. So when you're running a payroll via an outside system, the accountant needs to go on and journal that in the background to be able to get the figures imported in it. But the whole streamline of it, I can't advocate it enough. You know, if you're using every part of Xero, it's all talking to the next point. It's all leading, connecting together.
I'm going to bring up a couple of points, if that's all right, with that people have mentioned. I mean, Stella has obviously said this, which is a system will never replace an expert. And of course, we're not saying that at all today. I think we've reiterated that several times, which is that, you know, there's still an absolute need for financial consultants and accountants and everybody else within the system. But this is about transfer of data, really. At the end of the day, it's about being smart with your data as well, and being able to, I think, a really key point for me was what Laura was saying near the beginning, which is that how can you run your business effectively if you can't actually dive into your business on a day-to-day basis and go, can we afford to do that? Can I forecast? Can I actually look forward? Can I say, you know, in 6 months' time, I'll be able to do that? If you're leaving it until after the event to get your accounts for the year, you'll never know where your business is on a day-to-day basis. It may even come as a shock to you that your business has collapsed, which could be the ultimate dreadful thing. And just this point as well, I use Xero with my accountant to load everything, and still they charge me a fortune.
Time
to change accountant, maybe, but you know, but there may be reasons for that. I mean, it's down to, ultimately, when it comes down to that relationship, it's down to communication, is it not, when it comes to accountants?
I mean, accountancy has progressed and moved on and changed so much, certainly in the last 5 years, massively. A lot of accountants do service-based pricing now and not the old hourly rates. You know, I never agreed with it. It never sat well with me with hourly pricing and timesheets and all of that palaver that used to go on. I think for clarity and visibility for everybody, it's just good to know that you do this service for me, X, Y, Z. That's the price of each service if you want us to do that, or do you want to maybe take some of it on yourself? So, for example, some people would choose to do their own bookkeeping. And then you'll get a price for that. If your accounts would usually be higher year-end price if you do your own bookkeeping to a certain extent, because you are not qualified. You will make mistakes. The accountant has to review every single thing at year end to put their name to it to sign off them accounts. So sometimes you can think you're helping yourself and you're not. But yeah, if you like say you might want to file your own VAT returns each quarter, or do you want your accountant to do that? So how we do it is we use proposal software, which again links into our Xero. It's all completely, you know, fully processed all the way through the line. So we use proposal software. We have a chat with the clients when we're onboarding them to see if we're the right fit for them, if they're the right fit for us. We talk about the services they may or may not need, and we price it all out. And if it comes too high, we can say to them, okay, do you want to remove a service and do something yourself? So I'd always look at what services are you getting. You know, you should be, when you're paying a higher cost, it should usually be because you're having more services. Maybe you're having management, maybe you're having things, or, you know, such as.
Is it actually easier for an accountant, as you know, I'm playing an idiot here because I am, but is it easier for an accountant if somebody is using a system and actually when they come to them, they can say, look, and this is what I've done in previous years. This is how I produce my accounts. You can go and have a look at what I've got on this system. And therefore the accountant can see what they're doing, what they're not doing in a way.
Yeah. I mean, for us, we are fully transparent that we're a Xero only practice.
Right.
You know, some people would say, why don't you work with other softwares? And surely it's up to the business owner, their choice. It is up to the business owner. And if they use another software, then they use another accountant other than us. And that's just because we tried and tested all of the softwares many years back. And we found Xero to be the absolute best. We found it the best for us, and we found it the best for what a lot of clients, you know, need. So we just chose to stick with Xero. We invest all of our learning development into Xero, which they are great at. They are fully supportive at. We're always on product updates. They always talk to us as partners, telling us what they're working on, what's coming up. So yeah.
Love this from Maria. Sorry, my friend, you're covering your face there for a minute, Ben. But
it's all right. I'll just
having a system that has it all in one place when you don't have a huge resource is a great way to stay on top of the day-to-day account. Sounds like perfect options, especially if it ensures you remain compliant and ready for your accountant to easily review and calm the stresses that can be encountered. Absolutely.
That's a great point that Maria's just made there. That just made me think, actually, there's been so many people who will come to you, clients will come to you and want figures turned around within a day. A very, very popular reason is because they're going for a mortgage or such like,
yeah,
and they need figures. So, you know, you can't expect to be able to have an accountant at your beck and call to be able to go through piles of paperwork and pull figures together. It's just not a reasonable ask. So
yeah, well, I'll just get that shoebox.
So if you want things quickly, you need to partake, you know, in playing your part. That's what you need to do. You need to get all the information on there, and then there's no reason why a client could phone me now and go, what was my profit and loss for last month, and I can tell them.
Yeah, I think 100%. I mean, I think from the business owner point of view, as I say, I'm taking it from, because it's what we talk about to our partners now. So the accountants that we work with at Xero, we tell them to try and work with their business owners to communicate with each other so that the right information is being provided at the right time. If you're the business owner listening to this, speak to your accountant, and if you do think that maybe they charge me a little bit too much or whatever, speak to them and find out what you could do. Could you provide your information to them in a slightly different way that saves them doing X, Y, Z? Just have that open communication. I think that's the biggest thing to take away from this.
Massively.
Now I want to talk about some of the other things that other than doing your receipts, putting all of your expenses on. I want to talk about some of the other things that accounting software can really help with, and being more specific. And I'm going to pick on my father-in-law here. I'm trying to bring real examples to the table because he still uses Excel, and I'm constantly having a go at him. Constantly having a go at him because he's a builder and he owns a building business, and I expect there's loads of small building businesses out there doing exactly the same thing. And I look at his desk whenever we go around, and it's filled to the brim with there's an invoice there from Bradford's, there's an invoice there from this building merchant, there's other building merchants do exist, there's lots and lots and lots and lots of invoices from and he has to collate all of that and get it onto the system. I go, have you not heard of electronic invoices? It strikes me that, and even on the quoting side of things, for someone like that's trying to turn around a quote, trying to keep on top of fairly massive figures when it comes to expenditure, it's unreal, really, isn't it, in this day and age, that we're still seeing people manually inputting all of this data when actually all of that, if you speak to most main suppliers out there now, they can provide you with an electronic invoice.
I think using that example just to address your father-in-law's problems, he needs to use Xero projects by the sounds of it. So sort him out with that after this, because that will allow him to basically build his quotes out from there using the different tasks and estimated expenditure. Pull that together into a quote, get that authorized, send that out electronically. That's the key thing. It's all electronic. So that is electronic. You can email it straight out of Xero, email it to your customers to click on a link in the email they receive to approve that quote. That then comes back, is reflected as approved in Xero, and they can then turn that quote into an invoice. They can take a deposit. They can do partial split invoicing, whatever they want to do. But the key thing is it's all electronic, all managed centrally in one, as Laura was mentioned, a hub. So yeah, that's a massive thing. And then from the purchasing side of things, we already mentioned it earlier on, data capture. That's the way to go down that route. Get rid of the paper all over your desk, photograph your receipts as you go.
Unbelievable. Laura, do you want to pick up on that as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the greatest things as well is this is because it's in the cloud. This is not just desktop anymore. So if you were using Excel spreadsheets, you'd plan your time out on a Sunday afternoon. I'm going to excitedly sit down at my desk full of receipts and type all this stuff in. You can be doing all this stuff on the go. So what I absolutely love about it is there's no dead time. And how many of us have dead time in our lives? So I could be out on the field with my dog and he's running around doing his own thing. I can be on my app doing work. I can be reconciling items as I'm sat waiting in a doctor's surgery or, hospitals or anything like that. I mean, my mum was in hospital just before Christmas. And I was just sat there like all day and night. She wasn't feeling very talkative. But I could sit there then on my phone, on my Xero app, and I can just be reconciling loads of clients' accounts, doing all the bookkeeping. I'm doing that work. I also use it a lot as a CRM. So true story, even now, I got in the car the other day. I've just had COVID last week, as many of you know, and I've got pure brain fog. I'm literally having to question everything I do. Like I'm just making so many silly things. And I got in the car going to a client and I couldn't remember the client's address to put the postcodes into my sat nav. And I was like, oh, now normally I would have had to get out the car, get the laptop on the go, find that. I know I've invoiced them. I know that a contact in my Xero accounting system. And I just went onto my phone, opened up my Xero app, looked at the contact, there's the address, I'm off. I've not stalled, wasted much time. So it's got the full, CRM system there of you can look at all your clients' details. Everything's visible at the touch of a button.
Well, that was something that actually some other people asked within the question set was, does it have CRM capabilities? And I guess, that's the thing for a lot of small businesses. Do you actually need to invest in quite a complex CRM if actually you can kind of build most of that into your accounts package? I don't think you do. I mean, the accounts package is something you've got to have. Really,
Yeah.
that's a must. You've got to make sure that you're invoicing people.
I think like everything, it has got its capabilities. So, this is why, as Ben mentioned before, Xero has over 1,000 apps on their app marketplace. Xero go through quite a stringent process, don't they, Ben, to accept these app partners?
Yeah, there's a lot of checks in place, and the other great thing as well is on the app marketplace, on the App Store. It's at Xero App Store, rebranded to now, but there is reviews on there from other Xero users using those apps. We can do all the checks we want in the world on it being secure and what have you. That's obviously really important. What you really want to know as a business owner is how other business owners like yourself are finding using the app, and that's where the review process really comes in really well. So.
Yeah,
the likes with CRM, and I was actually looking at this a couple of weeks ago, so I know there's over 50 CRM apps in the Xero App Store now.
Wow.
Probably getting closer to 100 by the day. They all link into Xero, and all are tailored slightly for different industries. So what you can do is go into the CRM section, basically go into the Xero App Store. At the very top of the page, you can search by your industry type, or you can search by the function. So what you do is you go into the function of the app, select CRM, and that will give you all the CRM apps. You can then have a little look through there, and different apps will be targeted for different industries. So you can have a little look through there, go into them, read the reviews. And equally, the other good thing about a lot of the partners that we've got that are linked through the App Store is a lot of them are more than happy to talk to you themselves. So if you were to go onto that particular app's website, a lot of them will say book a demo or get in touch or something like that, and get in touch with them, ask the questions that you want to ask. No question is a stupid question. Just ask away on what you want and make sure it's the right thing for you. So yeah, there is all of that, but as Laura said, there is functionality within Xero as well. So within contacts, as Laura's experienced, you can store your details, you can store addresses, financial details of your customers, those sort of things. The more basic core information.
Yeah.
You can also
when it comes to CRMs, then really, your account software is a great place to start. When as your business develops and you need something more complex, you can get the two things talking to each other, and you can choose a CRM that suits your business and
exactly.
One of the things that I love about one of the things I love about contacts on Xero, Ben, is that you can look a complete overview of all, and you can pull reports off. Spent money with you in the last so many days, in the last month. When was the last time this person that you invoiced this person? Who's your top clients?
You got the smart list, isn't it?
Exactly. You can use that, can't you, to go, because sometimes people will think, I haven't heard from such and such for a while, a client. You can look and see, and you can take action then on that information, can't you? It's all about getting information to take the action. You can go, I upset you. What have I done?
Exactly. So you can do what you need to do with them, I say, with the smart list functionality within contacts. And I say some customer trend reports, the likes of your top customers, top suppliers list, those sort of things. So, and then just very quickly mention, for if there are any other accountants listening out there as well, we do also have Xero Practice Manager, which is a CRM system, but that is for the accountants, really, to manage their own practices. So there is that out there as well. So just keep that in mind.
Obviously use that. Obviously.
I wasn't really gonna. I thought, was there any point in asking?
Now listen, I should have maybe asked this one right at the beginning, okay? But one of the things that people were still asking, and we might not believe this, is, do I have to download something? Right, but not everybody gets cloud accounting, so I think we should just cover that off quickly. Years ago, when you had computers, you had to, everything was on software. In fact, I remember floppy disks, and there might be a few people out there that remember floppy disks. And we used to carry them around in our bags, and that was the way that we loaded our software. But times have moved on.
And you lose them or break them.
Yeah, you lose them or break them. Yeah, and then there was tapes. So I used to have to carry tapes home every night and put them in a fireproof safe. But now we do have this thing called the cloud. So Ben, for anyone that is still wondering, we don't actually need to download anything, do we?
You don't know. So Xero is fully cloud-based. You can access it through web browsers. We generally do recommend Google Chrome, but you can use any web browser out there. Nothing to download, install. There's no software updates. It just ensures that you always work on the latest version of the software, which was obviously an issue for any accountants out there who remember the likes of Sage Desktop and what have you. And you always got the most up-to-date tools and features that Xero has to offer by the fact that we can constantly continue to monitor and update things. The fact that it's on the cloud then enables you to access it from anywhere, like, as Laura said, accessing it in the field. Whilst you're on a train traveling to a customer's, you can get onto Xero and keep up to date with what you need to do. And then that, coupled with the fact that there's no limitations on users, is massive as well. So you pay, basically, when you take out Xero subscription, you're just paying for the subscription. You're not paying per user like in other software, some other softwares. So that does enable you to, it doesn't restrict you to think, oh no, I've got to do everything here. Again, if you're a small family run business, you can get the family involved, get your kids raising sales invoices if you need to, just whatever you want to do, because they can have access and you're not, there's no extra charge for you, nothing going on there. So what it does is just enables the business owners, the bookkeepers, the family members and the accountants all to work together at the same time in the software.
Yeah, going
And
back to
on
my
that as
father-in-law.
well, just on that as well about the different users, there's also different access levels.
Yeah.
So people get quite scared. Business owners are like, but I don't want like Karen in credit control to know what's in the bank, what's in the business. I love Karen in credit control, don't I? You know,
Hi,
you
Karen.
can have you can have people levels within your business, so they can have responsibility just for doing certain parts and not, you know, higher level, you know, being able to see everything. And also I would say as well that yes, you can just sign up to Xero. Xero love us in our business, me and my business partner, and we get discounts, we get partner discounts, which, not being greedy, I pass on to clients, and can get them set up with a good few months half price and things like that to get them started. And also, again, it comes down to know your limitations and your capabilities. This software is only as good as the information that gets put into it. I see so many people who just sign up to a Xero account and think they can just start from day one, you know, running it. You really need to put the time in on the setup. If you get that wrong from the beginning, it's just all incorrect information. It's all useless.
100%, by the way.
Setup is vital. Like, people don't realize that they need to tell Xero what it's starting off with. You need to tell it what your debtors are, what your creditors are, you know, setting up your bank feeds. You need all your bank feeds set up. Some people think, well, I've got a current account, and then we'll go to them and go, what's this? Where's this money going? What's this? And we've got like 4 other accounts, and you're like, oh my goodness.
And the personal accounts linked in as well.
Don't get it.
So that actually brings us on to another question. You know, of course, there are other softwares out there, and we're not having to go at any of the other softwares. But if someone wanted to move, but if you wanted to move from one piece of software to another piece of software, how easy is that these days?
It is generally quite easy.
Do you want to go
obviously
first?
We don't want you to do it. But there is a piece of software out there called Move My Books, which we use to move people from the likes of Sage Online, QuickBooks Online, and also the desktop versions, and also Cashflow. which is a fantastic piece of software that we recommend it to move into Xero. But likewise, it can move off the likes of a Xero if you wanted to. Once you're on Xero, you're never going to want to leave. But they say the tool is there, and it is free of charge coming to Xero. I can't comment on what the costs are moving to other softwares, but if you're moving to Xero from another software, it is completely free of charge. Xero cover that cost.
Lovely. There's something that's ticked off the book if anyone's out there and they're on one piece of software at the moment and looking to move to another. And so people understand as well in terms of the cost of this software. You mentioned discounts, etc. there before, but you can pay for this software either like on a yearly basis or on a monthly basis.
Is Xero?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Xero is where it's on a monthly subscription. Depending on how you access that subscription, how you get to having that subscription, it will differ. So if you go direct to Xero, you'll be signed up on a direct debit and pay monthly. If you go through your accountant, so a lot of times it's down to the accountant. Sometimes they will bill you for a year in advance. Sometimes they will bill you monthly. It just depends on how they want to do their bills for cash flow purposes and what have you. But generally, it will be monthly. You will pay for this via a direct debit.
There you go.
And I say there is a range of subscriptions out there. We have on our website, we have our starter, standard, and premium subscriptions, which range depending on the needs of the business owner. But then we do have a number of what we call partner edition subscriptions, which are available only through accountants. So if you go to your accountant, they can potentially provide you, or they're able to access those partner editions. There is some sort of crossover where the business owners can get involved with those partner editions, but that would be something to speak to your accountant about.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
we've
from
learned so much.
We take on all the subscriptions mainly for our clients, so that it's just all one monthly fee, as I was talking before about the services. So they can just pay us, for everything, and know that it's all taken care of there. And I think Ben just mentioned as well, with different subscription levels, you can move between different levels. So there are add-ons, the standard basic packages, but there's add-ons that you can have. For example, with payroll, you add that on. With projects, you add that on. CIS, you're adding that on. And they're all only a couple of pounds a month extra, but you can switch.
It's scalable. That's the point.
That's exactly the key thing, yeah.
Yeah.
And once you increase, you can decrease. It's not like you increase and you're stuck there. You can switch.
Yeah, you're not tied in at all.
Yeah, because businesses change in terms, and they can go both ways.
No 2-year contracts here and nasty contracts.
Yeah, well, because you might be. I mean, you might actually be, especially if you're if you're in a consultancy type situation or whatever. You might at some point have a team of people around you. You might then decide to scale back and just be you, and almost like a freelance situation. So you may need to add payroll at one point. You may need to take that away. You may need to, but remember to inform HMRC, everybody, because otherwise you might get in big trouble. If 1 minute you're a limited company and the next minute you're just a freelancer, that could be a problem. I think we've learned loads today, and we're going to leave it there in a minute. And there's still questions on the board from last time, but you might be watching this and thinking, I still don't understand about something about digital accountancy or doing my accounts online. If that's you, if you're stuck and you have any kind of question, whether it's about going digital for the first time, whether it's about getting the most out of a system, whether it's just do I have to still keep these things in the shoebox, then please do send those questions in. Comment as this goes around on the various platforms over the next few weeks. And also, because we love you so much and we are willing to give the biggest value out there for everything, we've also created a little website, a little tidbit for you called Xero Idea. So if you would like to go there as well, you can send any of your little questions through to us on xeroidea.com. And also, you can also watch this all over again as many times as you like. It will also be going very shortly to podcasts. So if you want to then, when that's done, subscribe to this. You can listen to this as you drive, which is a marvelous thing. I mean, Laura, you were talking about that earlier. These days, you know, we need to find ways to work as we're living at the same time.
Exactly.
And that might be something that tickles your fancy. And if it does on this Friday or any other day of the week, then please do that. Thanks everybody for joining in the conversation on I Have Zero Idea today. We have Laura. Thank you very much indeed. Ben, thanks for joining us. We will be back. So watch this space. And we will be back to answer your questions. This is not about us. This is about you. Make it about you too. If you want to find the answers, then we're here to give the solutions. Until next time, you've been watching I Have Zero Idea. Bye for now.